The Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog Fantasy. Use code Mayo at Underdog right now and get yourself a first deposit match up to $100. If you want to support the show and you don't have an Underdog account, go get one right now because the Listeners League is migrating over to Underdog Fantasy. Yeah, that's where it's going to be from now on. And to celebrate the new partnership with Underdog, I'm giving away $5,000. 5 of you will get $1,000 apiece. You need to have an Underdog account in order to be in there. So if you don't have one, use code Mayo. Go sign up right now. That's pretty easy. If not, hit the description if you already have one, or if you go sign up and get one, hit the description right now. There is a Google Sheet down there. It is a quick survey. It's about 22 seconds, maybe less, in order to fill out. You do that, you are in the draw for the Players Championship Pat Mayo Experience Underdog Fantasy giveaway. So shout out to our new partner. Go get on there right now. I've been firing off some entries over the course of the weekend. I think I fired off like 12 of them. I ended up slightly up for the week. Geoff Fienberg, it was the only place where I could pick on Anthony Kim.
Let's go. Woof, 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 woof. Get in that. Get like, over there.
You might want to leave the sound effects to Cam, pal.
Oh, sure. I'm fired up. Big things. That's all. Couldn't contain my excitement. That's all.
Well, all I'll say is with our brand new...
I'm not taking on Cam. I'm not even taking on Tim in an impressions contest.
Well, if anyone out there is from the Montreal area with our new partnership, please hit me up if you have a huge house that you want to rent out like the third week of September or something like that, because I think we're going to be there now covering it, Geoff.
Oh, let's go. Oh, get the giddy. I love Montreal. Montreal warms my soul. Even at its coldest, my soul has been warmed in Montreal.
Well, nothing's going to change about the show. In fact, it's probably just an additional show every single week. Content will stay exactly the same. So if you're here for DFS picks, you're going to get your DFS picks. You're here for bets, you're going to get your bets. Don't worry about anything like that. The old Listeners League is now officially gone. That's unfortunate, obviously, but we got a new partner. This is what we do. And we'll have a new, better version of the Listeners League coming. Because that was getting kind of stale. Because, Geoff, I'm winning everything on DraftKings right now. Another GPP win for your guy with Austin Eckgoat. Forgot to bet him because I'm an absolute loser like that. But I kept saying that he was going to win. Forgot to bet him. But he was the anchor. Taking down the $150 GPP. A nice quick $6,000. Well, $6,000 American. It's like $9,000 Canadian. That's amazing stuff for me. It's more than I would have won betting on him.
You talked him up so hard. Even Niles over at Odds Checker had him. Jeez. I thought for a moment we were going back to back like shirtless winners.
Well, do I have to do the shirtless gig again? Because, I won,
No, I just think in perpetuity, every single long shot, your card should just be long shot leans at Honda forever until otherwise.
Yeah.
Even though it's a different tournament, we bet you know what? The football guys, they got to go and ask for refunds all the time, Pat. Maybe we can message the books and be like, oh, you said this was PGA National. I watched the event. That wasn't PGA National. The rules say the course has to be played at where it says it's being played.
Okay, so this is what I want to hammer down on because I saw people whining about this all week. Chris Kirk played this course in fewer strokes than Austin Eckroat did last year. What are we talking about here? They added an extra par. It was a par 71. It was a par 70. Eckroat wins at minus 17. Cole and Kirk get into the playoff at minus 14 last year, which would be minus 18 this year.
They're gone out of their way to make it easier. They've even acknowledged that.
Sure,
the coddling of these tour pros, the PGA's in this no-win situation because they have to coddle their stars, and even the B team. When you make PGA National easier, you're essentially coddling the B team. Okay, let's call it out for what it is. So now there's a cuddling expectation. And I, in some ways, for all the flip-flopping that Rory McIlroy does on a lot of issues, he talks out of both sides of his mouth on a lot of issues, like Rory. Big Rory fan. Love to see him win the Masters. I won't bet on it. The one issue he doesn't seem to speak both out of both sides of his mouth on is that he likes birdies more than pars. He thinks that is what's best for professional golf. He thinks that is what people are entertained by the most. I vehemently disagree. I swear to you, if they did things to make it harder, golf would get so much more of a niche audience. I believe it. You can get crazy and make it harder, but I believe that's what people like. Seeing it look so easy, I don't think people like that. Rory being the star player of this era, the true one, and the voice of it, I believe is responsible in some ways for this, in the same way people want to hold LeBron James responsible for what's happened to the NBA All-Star game and a coddling of star players. I believe in some ways he is probably responsible, because if he took a lead on that, it probably would be a little different. So it's not just sure, you can have your facts that it played the same as last year, but my perception and my eyeballs say no fucking way. And then when the PGA officially declares that, yeah, we're making attempts to make it easier, and you probably will see that all through Florida.
I don't know how much harder or how much easier you can make Bay Hill. Because, a lot of these Florida courses just really depend on the conditions. The wind got up one of the days at PGA National, and that was the day that it played kind of tough. I was actually shocked more guys didn't go even lower after the restart on Sunday and into Monday, with no wind whatsoever and a completely soggy course where you could fire at every pin.
Okay. I would like to fight back a little. This is just strictly perception-based fighting back. Okay, you've got data. I've got a gut. Doesn't go well, so it's not a good fight. Not a good fight. And yes, you can speak to the ceiling performances, the high-end performances of Kirk and subsequently Cole last year to the number, but there's no way the amount of double bogeys, water balls, anything like that. I would argue this, that's where I think you'd probably see a big difference in how the course performed. You will always have one or two guys rise above a course, even when it's tough, normally. I don't know. My perception, not happy. Your facts, reining me in a bit.
Listen, it's not that I don't think that it played easier. It clearly did play easier this year. The cut was lower, more guys finished deeper into cracked double digits. But when we look at the overall score, they changed one of the holes, and they made the second hardest hole on the course a par 5, which made it super easy. But they added a stroke to par. It's not actually changing the amount of strokes that you take. It's kind of irrelevant in that way. But when we take a look at it too, yes, Eckroat gets to -17. The winners were at -14 last year. Second place this year was -14 and -14. It allowed more players an opportunity to go low. And I'm the data will prove that out. It played easier in that regard, but it's not like the blow-ups weren't there at the same time. And I think if you added in a bit of wind to this, the winner would have been -10.
You're right. I can't yell at the PGA Tour for not having wind. That's that's like when people get mad in the Open Championship and there's no weather. These are 180-year facilities. To even call them facilities is probably a stretch, as sacred and beautiful as those courses are over there. When there's no wind, with this modern game, the modern tech, the modern driver, just fucking over. It's over. These guys can do anything. They really can. It is phenomenal. You're right. I'm an idiot. I bet Steven Yager and thinking the winning score be half what the winning score would have the potential to be. You said last week, you did call it, Pat. You were leaning Eckroat hard, and you did acknowledge that you got to wash this PGA National being this carnage track a bit out of your head. You just got to lose that a little. Open your mind. And I did I tried to bet a lot of Big Bomber, whatever. I bet Steven Yager. I had a total misread on what the event is. Fucking happens.
I mean, a lot of people bet Eric Cole this week too. He finished in dead last. Sometimes guys just have bad weeks too.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. Well, people who didn't bet Eric Cole could probably put on their season highlights like I didn't bet Eric Cole at PGA National.
That's okay. He still has a better. He's still shorter odds than Wyndham Clark this week at API. So you can not bet him again this week too.
Yeah, I don't know. Like when I saw Wyndham's odds, those struck out. But then my first instinct was, well, I don't know, does Wyndham like do Florida?
Yeah, I mean, he used to play really well at PGA National of all places, weirdly enough. His numbers come crashing down since Open, though, because I think people saw, hey, this guy just won. He won a major and an elevated event last year, plus plays skill set-wise very good for what Bay Hill demands. But we're going to put him behind Adam Scott, who hasn't won in 5 years, and Eric Cole and Russell Henley.
Whatever. I've made 2 bets. I've bet babies. We'll see how it goes.
I want to talk about Shane Lowry for a second. This is the 3rd year in a row he's been in contention at this tournament, and dude just can't put it away. So he has the wins on the DP World Tour. Obviously, he has the Open Championship win. He won at Firestone in 2015. We're going on a decade now. Shane Lowry has 2 PGA Tour wins, and one of them was in Europe. Now, I believe he won the DP World Tour Championship over in the Middle East, and his resume, and he won Wentworth either last year. No, Ryan Fox won Wentworth last year. He won the year before over there. Is he just a no bet ever at this point? Unless he's like 85-1, 90-1, that kind of thing?
I was so mad that I was off him, like as it was happening.
Me too.
Because it seems, when it's happening, it seems so obvious. You're like, it's just not that easy of a game. Loves the course, loves the place. I mean, lots of guys live there. The broadcast doesn't talk about how much they are like desperate to win this event. Granted, they're not as close as he has always been, and the tough draw. And it was kind of painful on the radio because they brought it up like every 15 minutes, half hour. The rain, the wind of that 1 year versus Straka. Yesterday, I knew him and Skins were, I don't want to say I knew, but the broadcast showed both of them like walking down the player walkway, down steps. And they both practically yawned. And I'm like, these guys are like dead. These guys are dead. I don't know. And they clearly played like they were dead fish. I don't know. I don't know that he could wear it as possibly as hard as the broadcast makes it seem he's wearing it. They make it like it's Rory at Augusta.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not that, but it's striking that it just keeps happening year after year. And like tournament, like even something like Heritage, I remember backing him there 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was, just he gets himself in contention. You're sitting there with 9 holes left. You're like, yeah, Shane Lowry has a chance to do this. And even he started to stage a little bit of a mini comeback. Like if he doesn't double bogey number 15 today going off the rocks, I don't win the DraftKings tournament for one thing, because it was Lowry. I mean, I'm very glad Lowry melted down because that's the only path that I had to winning that tournament. I had Eckroat, they had Lowry, and they had more guys. So I needed Eckroat to really beat the crap out of Lowry on Sunday. That was the only path that I had because my guy Parker Cooney did not show up all that much in the final round, but he got himself there, which was really nice. But I don't know. I don't know if it's a pressure thing or it's just the dude sucks. Although it's funny because he made a really long birdie putt on 16, but just like his lack of putting is just, it's crippling. And even for the guys that don't putt well, they're occasionally able to match it up with hot iron play. Like, dude was leading the field in strokes gained approach through 3 rounds. Like, it wasn't particularly close either. He was all over it, and he still was tied for the lead. Like, he should have been way past everyone. He just didn't. He gave himself the opportunities. He just can't convert on them.
Yeah, he couldn't convert. He had opportunities, some early 15-footers to start the 3rd round on that on the delayed round. He had putts early to get momentum going on the final round. And I'll tell you, Eckroat missed 8, 9, and 10. He missed 3 8 to 10 footers, a 6-footer. Like it could have been a total wash quickly.
I can't recall anyone playing in a final round going, and maybe, I mean, obviously there are cases of this. They don't stick out in my mind at the moment, of someone who entered the 3rd round as the leader. He was one of the co-leaders. He wasn't in the final group. He was in the second to last group because Shirts and Skins was with Lowry. And he just cruised. Like, there was no hiccup. There was one hiccup. He made one bogey. Like, you expect to make a bogey around PGA National, and just every fairway. What do you think he hit? Like, I don't know, 12 of 14 fairways. Basically hit every green in regulation. Just there was no, like, you get to the bear trap. It's like, oh, is the pressure going to get him with the water? No, just hits it to 20 feet on both of the par threes. Not a big deal. Like, he just cruised. There was never any pressure.
Yeah, it was truly incredible, Pat. And he made a comment. It might have been radio or TV that I was listening to after his Saturday round, where they referenced, like, dude, you were just fairways and greens all day. You didn't even have to scramble. I think you hit like 16 of 18 greens and like something crazy. And he's like, yeah, he almost made a joke. Like, I don't know, maybe I'll be in trouble if I have to do that. Cause I don't know what, like, got to go maybe practice working on my hands, but he never needed it. And even the bogey on the final round was an incredible bunker shot that he put to 6 feet that, you know, it was almost as he didn't make the up and down, but it was an incredible effort. He should have made that putt. I believe in situations like that, Pat, like the first time winner, the younger guy, when it gets split up and it goes into a Monday, and even you saw for a moment, I'm like, Andrew Novak just thinks it's Thursday morning. Like there's just, obviously I'm pretending to know what these guys are going through. They're playing for the points, the money, the pressure, but there's clearly like a different vibe that I think lends itself to the inexperience when it gets pushed like this.
Maybe, but I mean, in the last time that we saw a Monday finish here, we had a complete unknown who we had bet on, and Daniel Berger take on guy who hadn't won in ages, super old Patty Harrington, and Harrington just had the stones and just treaded water the entire time. It looked like Berger was going to win, but no, Patty ends up getting it. So it kind of goes both ways there. Like
but even Berger getting to that playoff, like just how he played that Monday, like it's just a different animal. It's like, you know, you're not even on they're not thinking about things like, oh, we're not on NBC this morning. Like, I get that, but it just feels like it's it's ratcheted down a little. But that's just maybe in my own head.
Yeah, I mean, you can thrust whatever narrative you want once we know what the results are going to be. I actually thought that the restart was going to be like, because I wanted Eckroat to win, obviously, because I wanted to win money, and I cheer for Austin Eckroat, so that was just kind of doubly nice. But after how poorly Skins and Lowry started their round on Sunday, I thought that the restart was going to be the best thing that ever happened to them. It's just like they clearly did not have it when everyone else did have it on Sunday. It gets shut down. They get to regroup and come back on Monday, and just they never got it back.
You're right. You can make whatever you want out of it because you thought, oh, that's interrupting Eckroat playing great and those guys will get the refresh. But in the end, nope. They came back and Eckroat did everything he did for the last like 4 days. It was crazy how he was never out of position.
It did feel like Min Woo was gonna catch him down at one point. How many eagles did Min Woo make this week? 8? Like every par 5 played like a 100-yard par 3 to him. It was insane.
Min Woo's the man. He's got a
I worry about his leaky driver a little bit at Bay Hill. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, I'm not totally. Well, I looked. He wasn't in I'm curious if even by the time we're done, if they will have put like him and Keith Mitchell in the field.
Yeah, I believe they qualified on the Aon points.
So I meant like the betting by field. I meant like the betting board. I'm curious to see what sort of odds they put. But yeah, I'm not really there for Min Woo, and I got to own it. I took a bit of a bath fading Jake Knapp, who's fucking awesome. Like, guy is so cool. And Pat, do you know where he's off to?
He's off to Bay.
After all this golf and how he's got now he's got the Players and Sawgrass coming up after his win. You know what he's up to today?
What's he doing? Going to the Panthers game?
No, he's going for a lift.
Oh, well, he should be.
Casey, I have the weird schedule, all the delays. I couldn't get my lifts in this week. So I'm really excited. Looking forward to getting my workout in. Oh, beast mode.
Hey,
play with Rory for
anyone who lifts, you don't like getting out of your lifting schedule. That's the absolute worst. You feel like such trash if you consistently work out all the time and you're into a routine, which clearly Jake Knapp is. You know, he's got the 24-inch pythons. He might as well be Hulkamania out here in 1987. Just get the guy some like tanner and some oil, and he'll be good to go. But, you start missing days, and, like, your body doesn't feel right all of a sudden. So whatever he's doing right now is absolutely working for him. He needs to stay in his routine.
Yeah, he is crushing it. Again, yeah, I could put any narrative I want. Like, I lost the bet. Bez couldn't even make the cut. That was the head-to-head I took because, I don't know, bought into the Bez love in that respect. But after the fact, I'm like, oh, him playing with Rory, like, really dialed him in. I bet you if he had 2 scrubs in the first couple of rounds, he wouldn't have played as good. But nice. He seems like he's got such, for that game, he's got lovely touch. And people could have been like, yeah, the guy won last week. But I get impressed when you do what you do when you win as Jake Knapp after the win. Like, that's when it's like, holy fuck. Okay. Good for you, man. Good for you.
He was one of the people that I was starting to consider for Bay Hill this week because I actually think he kind of has like everything that you would want from Bay Hill, a guy who mashes it off the tee but is still wildly accurate and a fantastic iron game. And the putter seems to be working at the moment that I don't see why. I mean, the reason why is, do we actually believe he's any good? Paul kind of pointed out before the show when I was talking to him outside that who is he? Like, is he a real guy? Is he just a flash in the pan who's like, a 6-week hot stretch kind of thing? And the name that he brought up was Taylor Montgomery. Remember when Montgomery did this, but Montgomery didn't win, but he had top 5 finishes in like 9 of 10 tournaments through like a 3-month stretch, and then he's just been absolute crap ever since, basically. Is Jake Knapp that? Is he something in the middle? Or is he like Will Zalatoris kind of thing, just later in life? Is he? You know who his best comp is? Probably Tony Finau. Because Finau didn't get good until like 28.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to find comps for Finau. Like, that sort of talent to just blossom like so late like that. So maybe we finally do have one. We have a betting comp for Finau that I look forward to making when we get into the board.
Can't we?
No. I feel like you've even made this comp before. It's all a blur. That could be right. And I don't know what Jake Knapp is, because in some ways, like, you make that Taylor Montgomery point despite him not winning. And I'm like, yeah, wasn't that all fucking swing season and like in like Hawaii or something? And MX, I guess. But, Jake Knapp won Mexico. Like, there's people that would not like poo-poo, but, for some of us golf hardos are still like, okay, I don't know what to make of winning. Like, I don't know how to, like, what does that mean? You won Sorry, not what does that mean? That's a really that's
no.
awesome.
I'm with you. He basically won what's the equivalent of the Puerto Rico Open this week, but it's like an official event, so it counts for more. But it's the same field basically.
But then he goes out, he plays with Rory for 3 rounds. He beats him. He looks great. His touch is just immaculate. Like, he's got such nice touch, and he misses his hand. I mean, maybe it's because he has so many 8-footers that you like notice that he misses them. Or that he's playing with Rory, you can notice that he's missing him. But man, the guy is, and I'm a sucker. As much as I faded out, like I could be turned, and I'm a sucker for something cool and fun. And at the moment, I wanna buy, but maybe to Paul's point, like maybe this is like where you kind of, now he's like supremely overvalued. I don't know. I have no idea, but I'm into it. I'm into it now. I am not stepping in front of a Jake Knapp bus. Although he's been on a long road of lots of golf. He's got the Players again next week. I don't know. Maybe I will find I don't know. I kind of want to, but I learned a lesson.
He got the week off. He got the week off at Genesis. So it will just be Mexico this week, Bay Hill, and then Players back to back to back. So anyway, 4 in a row for a guy who's very in shape in 29. Shouldn't be a problem.
Well said. That's facts. Again, facts.
I mean, I worry about some of these LIV guys because they're playing back-to-back weeks. That's pretty tough.
I've made a LIV bet. I was excited to make it, but I've been told it's not a course fit at all. So
yeah, we'll get to LIV Singapore. That's on the docket of what we're talking about here. But just very briefly, Min Woo. It was nice to see. I like to see him pop up. He hit his irons much better. The fact that you got a great irons week from Min Woo, he gained 4.3 strokes on approach, and he couldn't win, is a tough beat because he lost strokes putting for the week. Do you know who led all players tee to green by a pretty substantial margin this week?
Eckroat?
Rory McIlroy.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. He lost almost 4 strokes putting. He was horrendous. Gained 6 off the tee, 2 on approach, 1 around the green. Good for 9.3 strokes tee to green, beating the guy who I assume is your neighbor, Ben Silverman.
Not my neighbor, but his like brother is neighbors with a good friend of mine. And I'm telling you, good for that guy. I saw a thing like when he was Charlie Wood's age, he hadn't even started playing golf yet. I don't even know if that's true, but yeah, I don't know. He's about 20 minutes north Thornhill, Pat. Not many guys from Thornhill, like Jewish kids from Thornhill, like make it to the pros, let alone finish like top 10 in the pros.
There was
wow.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about Keith Mitchell in 1 second. There was one other guy who was 6th in ball striking. Actually, he tied with Keith Mitchell in ball striking. 7.2 strokes gained ball striking this week. It's back-to-back weeks of a lot of strokes gained ball striking. He lost 6.1 strokes putting, and I'm most definitely going to bet him in Puerto Rico this week, but it's Rico Hui. This guy, man. You want to talk about he might be the worst putter on the PGA Tour. He is horrendous. He is such a Pat Mayo all-star. It's incredible.
I saw some of that Puerto Rico. I'm sure that's on the dock. We'll get there, right?
Oh, yeah, we'll get there. I did the breakdown of Puerto Rico as a part of the API breakdown up on Mayo Media Network right now, if you want to go check it. Did you see all the Keith Mitchell memes when it looked like he was... Listen, I don't know if he was drinking or not, because I don't think that they thought that they were coming back out to play on Sunday, and he just kind of staggers out with a big smile on his face. But I will tell you, a bit of a floppy collar and an extra button undone on your shirt raises your perceived blood alcohol level like 2 points.
I could totally buy how that works.
It's like
I could unbutton the extra. I got the extras. Yeah, that was great. And he played into it, right? Cheez-It, extra toasty. I love, like, extra toasty is my go-to Cheez-It. Well, that's top of the charts, Cheez-It. But when I was getting high in high school, they didn't sell those in Canada yet. I loved it. That was great. Also, like, you lose a foot, you lose a step on the stairs, and you kind of like make your way down, even though you thought you might have had an accident. Like, you come down like smirky smiles. But that was great. The kid that hit the home run with the meme, Pat, like the joke, that guy, he takes 100 cuts a day. Well, I follow him. Good kid. Takes 100 cuts a day. Takes 100 cuts a day. But boom, right? You got to run. That's why you do it. You got to run into one. So good for you. ZD boy or something.
Anything else you want to get off your chest about the Cognizant before we move on?
I'm going to Palm Beach on Wednesday.
Okay.
Love it there.
So that was less about the tournament, more about you?
Well, it's where it's literally, down the road. Usually sometimes I make it there, but
yeah, we're still locking down a date for the Custies debate, but that's going to come the week after the Players' Championship. It'll be live on Mayo Media Network, so subscribe to Mayo Media Network right now. If you're not previously doing that, if you're subscribed, you can be involved in the live chat, which I assume is going on right now on the video, because we are doing this live because of the Monday finish, but we got it all in the books. Eckroat's the winner. Pat Mayo is the winner. I saw a bunch of bets from people on Austin Eckroat, so I'm super fired up. I saw one guy hit him at 200 to 1, another at 150, another at 100 to 1. It's great to see some winners through the ecosystem. I did joke. I saw Dink congratulated me on it's my 4th GPP win now. By the way, fantasynational.com/Mayo gets you 20% off. Since we revamped the tools at Fantasy National, I've won 4 GPPs. So something.
Man, you killed it with the. So I've been better. I've been better this episode. I know last week was bad. I've been better, I think. You killed it with Justin with the NASCAR, with the F1.
Oh yeah, Run the Sims. Justin told me how to use the tools at Run the Sims. I generated lineups and uploaded them. It took me, the whole process took like less than a minute. I won 2 GPPs in F1.
There it is. What the heck, man? Good for you. Rolling.
When you're running hot, you're running hot. Run thesims.com too. But fantasynational.com/Mayo. Players next week. We got an elevated event this week. We got the Masters. Just get the annual membership or the monthly membership right now and just get all of those tournaments in one plus 20% off. If you've ever thought about diving in, now is the time. fantasynational.com/Mayo. And Geoff, I'm going to tell you again, because a lot of people who can't make their wagers in places like California or Texas can get in on making Underdog entries, and we're going to start doing some shows, start doing some picks on Underdog along with everything else. So code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy right now. Get you a first-time deposit match of up to $100. The Listeners League is going to go over to Underdog Fantasy. They're going to have some really cool stuff for major season. We're going to do some drafts live on the show, drafting people for all 4 majors. In terms of like best ball events, it's going to be a show over at Underdog Fantasy. So code Mayo over there right now. Hit the description right now too. There's a survey down there. We're giving away $5,000 in 10 days time to 5 of you, $1,000 a piece on Underdog, but you need an Underdog account and to fill out that survey in order to be eligible. So code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy right now. Anthony Kim was someone I actually picked on. He actually ruined my final one. He actually went lower than his 74.5 total on the final day, which actually broke up my 5-banger on LIV. But, I won the first 2 days against Anthony Kim, so, we were playing with house money at that point. Did you think it was a good return to form for him just to see him back competitive play for the first time in 12 years? Like, it was bad at the beginning of the rounds, but it felt like he settled in. Like, he wasn't doing much of anything, but I thought it was actually going to go a lot worse for him than it did.
By the end, he made 12 straight pars, and that's a gain. And yeah, you could argue like it's all low-hanging fruit. It's all low-hanging fruit. You could argue it's not as bad as that. Like, that's kind of totally fair. The guy making travel halfway across the world to make his first professional start in forever. Right. And there's a reason. Like, I think I said last week, Pat, like, what the hell? Why didn't this guy just wait like 3 weeks, a month and go to Doral?
Because
77 in Jeddah would have been like 88 in Doral, I think, right?
Yeah, well, get those rounds because I mean, if it's Anthony Kim and he's coming back, like I don't think that Anthony Kim moves the needle as much as a lot of people on golf Twitter thought that he was going to do. I was excited to see him play. I woke up early to catch the end of the round to see him play, so it worked on me. I watched a lot of LIV Jeddah over the weekend, and I was sweating a Mito versus Patrick Reed head-to-head, which I had a lot of money on, which Mito backdoored on the final day when Reed melted down in the final round. So that one was a big sweat coming in for me. But I don't know, I thought it was somewhat exciting. And yeah, if you're going to try to sell him to the American audience, you might want to get him some actual rounds under his belt before LIV actually comes to the States.
But it's fair for us to ask the questions, like how long, like what is the interest level even in the golf Twitter sphere for how long? And I would argue, to be perfectly honest, Pat, I'll speak for myself only here. I think I'm interested until he tells his story. I'm kind of interested. Like, obviously, if he plays really well, that takes on a whole new level of interest. But, until he tells his story, right, sits down, talks, I don't know if LIV is, I don't know, like it's going to be 60 minutes for God's sake, but literally like a back and forth, an exchange, a question and answer, a long form interview of some kind. I have an interest. Now, once he does that and shoots 77, I might have no interest. So maybe it's in their best interest to keep his story away still, like keep it. And maybe there is no story. I don't know. But like you, that's really where it is for me in some respects. And listen, we make fun of guys' appearances all the time. Be it PGA Tour, they look old, they look goofy. I told you I thought Tiger Woods looks like Ken Griffey from The Simpsons now. Like, I don't know. Just looks puffy in some ways. I don't even mean fat, but something about his face. So make fun of guys all the time. Anthony Kim looks like a chewed caramel.
I was at a kid's birthday party on Saturday. It was one of my best friends. His son turned 4 years old. So my kids were there. My wife was there. Just a bunch of my friends, well, of kids were there. And one of them briefly brought up Anthony Kim. He just pulled out a picture of Anthony Kim. He just goes, "This is what cocaine looks like."
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, I got some for you. I could put up some baby face pictures of me at 20, and like now 20 years later, I'm ragged, like I'm just beaten down and tired and got kids and what have you. But still, I saw a chewed caramel there.
Yeah. So other than that, Neiman wins again. I am really disappointed. I saw Vincenzi broke this news that Neiman got a invitation to play in the PGA Championship, which I think is well.
What?
Yeah. They invited him to come play. So Neiman's going to be in the PGA Championship now as well. Wins again on LIV. The only thing that I'm somewhat disappointed in, because they gave out those Masters invitations, hopefully that there could be another one coming, because Louis playing some really good golf. Like, he won back-to-back in South Africa during December, and he's since come out. Like, he was just second in LIV Jeddah. He's doing everything that he can to play himself in. Listen, if we're not going to have LIV guys be able to qualify for the majors, I do think that invitations should be extended to guys playing really well. And I think that Louis has both done that on LIV and the Asian Tour, the DP World Tour, the South African Tour. He's done enough that I think that he should be in. Plus his Masters history. Like, this is a guy that lost in a playoff to Bubba Watson. He has a real pedigree at Augusta that I think that they should invite him to.
I totally agree. I couldn't put a hole in that whatsoever. There's also equity. Louis Oosthuizen has equity, both at the Masters, as a world golfer for many years, for maybe close to a decade now. I was in a really dingy hotel room with Pizzola and Cam in Niagara the weekend he won that Open Championship. So that's how I remember it, that and the red dot. But he absolutely... That was a scene. Speaking of Anthony Kim, he absolutely, where was I? Because I had something I wanted to say and I got, Louis, he absolutely needs his invite. And like, when I mention equity, he's done things. We can make fun of the lack of the PGA Tour wins overall, but there's worldwide equity there. Taylor Gooch won in the swing season. You don't have that equity, okay? You don't have it. You just don't have it. Let alone the goodwill. The goodwill. You don't have that either. So you better keep your mouth shut. In a way that Pat delivers lifetime bans. You better keep your mouth shut, pal.
I'm completely lost on what your point was with that.
He does, like, in the way that Taylor Gooch thinks he deserves an invite.
Okay,
Louis actually deserves one. There's worldwide equity there.
Okay,
for
I see what you're saying.
Long-standing period of time. I know what Louis was before he went to LIV. Taylor Gooch blew an opportunity to show us what he was, but there's reasons, and everyone's entitled to them, and there have been no efforts made. Yeah, but I got a lot of bad investments in my life, but right now my portfolio is just clinging to I have Louis every major, Pat. I'm not Louis.
Neiman.
Neiman, every major.
Well, one thing that I'm going to start doing, I believe, I'm trying to work it out with the guys at Golf Digest so I can really get some clickbaity people mad at me. But I'm going to start, listen, there's the official world golf rankings, there's the data golf rankings, there's some other rankings. We're going to do the official Mayo world golf rankings. I'm going to rank the top 50 players probably next week before the Players, before the Masters, before every major championship. So we'll do it 5 times throughout the course of the year. And I don't know where Neiman should rank. Like, I don't quite... How impressive are these wins? Honestly, like, I don't know. He's just beating the same guys over and over again. Like, he just lost to Carlos Ortiz in Oman, which was essentially just half the LIV field playing against guys on the Asian Tour. Like, I do think he's very talented. He's only 25, but is he a top 10 player in the world? Is he a top 25 player in the world? Is he one of the 3 best players in the world right now? Like, I really have no idea how to rate him.
That's fair. Neither do I. But you see the shots, so your eyeballs tell you, holy shit. And then if you can beat John Rahm, then, like, you know, because I got into it with a buddy, you know, who's really bright, but he's like, you can't just, like, like he's trying to make analogies to other sports. You know, we just didn't invite like a CFLer in. I'm like, well, if the guy in the CFL is running routes against John Rahm and Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau, and he's dominating those routes, then like I think maybe we can invite him. I don't know how to quantify Neiman, but all that matters is that he's respected in the major community because our eyeballs and our brains tell him. Like it doesn't matter if he's ranked 15th or 20th. Doesn't matter if it's 30th or 24th or 12th. It doesn't matter. He's just in these fields that matter. That's all that matters. That's really all that matters. The exact number doesn't matter. But it's probably off the top of my head, like if I say 18, like 22, is that way too high? Maybe.
I mean, I'm looking at a prelim list of guys. Like guys in the 22 area are like, for me right now, like I have him like, who's a better player? Joaquin Neiman or Wyndham Clark? I know everything. I know that everyone would almost like reflexively answer it's Neiman, but why isn't it Clark? Dude won a major championship.
Yeah.
He won at Pebble Beach. He won at Quail Hollow. He's been great. Now, we have more of a history with Neiman. He's a young up-and-comer. We want him to break through. He's someone that we had pegged to break through 3 years ago on the PGA Tour. But I don't know. Like, and it's funny that people give, like, some of these tournament shit now on the PGA Tour. It's like, well, you know, they're playing against a bunch of nobodies. Like, what are Neiman's big wins in his career? He won at Genesis before it was an elevated event, and he won at the Greenbrier. Now, if he doesn't get the opportunity to play in those events and beat those guys, then you're like, oh, it's a guy who never won on the PGA Tour. Like, I find that a lot of the LIV stuff is talking out of both sides of your mouth when it comes to competition and what it is.
No. If Taylor Gooch went wire to wire at Riviera, elevated or not, it's like, no, that's different. He didn't do that.
Okay, but back to my Wyndham Clark point. Or would you?
Wyndham? That's a fair one. I didn't quit gut Neiman because like the rankings world respect, like there's a weight to those elevateds. Wyndham Clark deserves to be rated higher than Joaquin Neiman. I wouldn't even debate that. No LIV person can honestly debate that because even if you expect LIV to get ranking points, you have to respect that events like a major championship and the elevateds are worth a multiplier of something to a certain extent. So there's no way, even in a world rankings fair system, should Neiman be ahead of Wyndham Clark, even if we give a fair weight to his accomplishments. So no, Neiman shouldn't be ahead of Wyndham Clark. Do I think Neiman is better than Wyndham Clark?
Yes, you do.
Well, I'm just smitten with the arrows. I'm smitten with arrows, but Clark's got balls and throws them and won the U.S. Open.
So let me throw this for you then, because it's one thing to try to cross, like it would be like in the 90s. Remember when like kart was big in auto racing? And then like Jacques Villeneuve was like awesome on kart, and then he went to F1 and he like won on F1 after Michael Schumacher kind of petered off. It was like, oh, so maybe these two were close, but it turns out they weren't actually close. He was just like a singular talent that was really good. And I'm sure there's more examples. I haven't really kept up on kart or IndyCar racing versus F1 over the years, but that was always like one comparison that I would think more so than like NFL and CFL, where the CFL is like very clearly the inferior league in terms of talent. We know that there's talent on LIV. We just don't know how to gauge it because the whole scope of the tour isn't all that great. But if we were to put Neiman, like if we were to rank some of the LIV guys, like Rahm, we would probably put as a top, I mean, at worst, the fifth best player in the world, at best, probably the second best player in the world. But like Cam Smith, I think any ranking system you would look at would probably have Cam Smith. Like Cam Smith's top 10 player in the world. Well, is he? Is Neiman ranked above Cam Smith? Because he probably is right now.
He probably should be. Cam Smith's like highs are high, but he's enjoying what LIV gave him. And he's like showing that, and he doesn't even deny it. And he's going to get to the Masters in a month, right? It's in a month. And he's be like, I'm going to have to learn my lesson again. So I'm kind of starting to care about golf like this week. And then he's going to go on to win this summer because that's what he does. That's like, he's on his, it seems like that's his trajectory. I don't know, but also Brooks, like I'm expecting to be there at the very end of the Masters. And I'd argue right now, if we talk to Masters, like Brooks at 19-1 is probably the most fair bet you could ever make.
Yeah.
I don't have it.
Well, that's what I was trying to do. Like I had the top, so I only did the top 5 of what I have right now of best players in the world. So, and this is a fluid list, and I'll debut this. I'll do an entire show on it, and I'll rank all the players. I have Scheffler at number 1. I think that's pretty clear cut, right?
Can I do an after show to your show?
Yeah, I mean, you can just do the show with me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I'd love to. Maybe do more people. I don't want to make it more work, but I don't. Anyhow, that's Scheffler number 1.
Yeah, like, is there going to be any I don't think there's any pushback that Scheffler's the best player in the world right now. Seems like you want to say that there is.
Yeah, he's the best because other guys need to buck up, but this guy, like, I'm not intimidated by him one bit.
Okay,
my bets are against him.
All right,
he might needle them to death.
Who would you put ahead of Scotty Scheffler as the best player in the world?
John
Rahm, who can't close on the fucking LIV Tour? That guy?
Yeah, no, right now. Something that when you go over there, you accept it, you alter your fucking mindset.
But it's not even that. Like, listen, if Rahm had won every LIV start and not gagged them all, then maybe we'd be talking about, if it's one thing to give Niemann credit because he keeps winning, but that also means if you're not winning, you don't get credit for just being good.
I agree. I just think Jon Rahm's most, like, this is like what it should be by what's happening on the ground. Then yes, Scotty Scheffler. Who do I think's the most talented golfer in the world? I actually believe it's Jon Rahm.
Okay. So my top 5: Scheffler, Rory, Rahm, Victor, Brooks. Top 5.
I don't have a hole. Like, in those 5 names, you can order it any way you want. Pizza's good. Like what are we doing? I don't even, like, who's even 6? Who's the first man out?
I didn't really do that, but like the next part of the list was like Cam, Cantlay, Xander, Ludwig, Bryson, Morikawa, Thomas, Niemann. Like, it's just a big list of like the next tier of guys.
Feels like a definitive gap.
It does feel like those are the 5 guys and it's everyone else, at least in my mind.
I unequivocally agree with those 5.
Like, if you want to make the case for like Dustin, I mean, he won in Vegas, but that's really all we've seen from him in a year.
No, but I don't think even the heart would argue that he belongs there. But just, again, it's so weird. Like, to me, the rankings, that's just going to get over. Like, what you make of Niemann is kind of overblown. All that matters is in this moment that he's included and that the majors are flexible enough to see it. And maybe you're right. Maybe we're picking favorites because Louis absolutely deserves it. And I hope they come around on it. But there's also like a way to play the game. You also have to like play a game too, maybe. That's unfair.
Yeah.
Neiman's gone about it the right way. He's made legitimate efforts to show these people that he like by globetrotting a bit that it is what he wants, and he's going for it.
And like, you can listen, I know that you would argue Rahm over Rory. I had Rory slightly over Rahm. It's funny because, again, and this has just happened year over year, and just when you don't win a major championship in 10 years, but you're constantly in the mix of basically like every tournament, you just take a shit kicking all the time. Like, people forget, like, Rory's already won this year. Like, it's just Rory gets no credit for anything that he does well. He only gets like demerits for things he does poorly. It's really bizarre.
It is really that is 100% true. And he can be a whipping boy because, as we mentioned, he does like to talk out of both sides of his mouth. So there are a lot of contradictions that you can pick up on that in some ways go behind like growth. You could say, like, I changed my opinion via growth. There's still a lot of contradictions, but even when he does win an elevated event, if he wins Bay Hill, the first hour, the Masters, only like, it won't even matter. It'll matter for half a second. They'll be like, but will you win the Masters? So you're right. His like highs don't even register because he's at a level that can't, but he is at a level, Pat, where like your opinion of him can't honestly change. It's sort of bulletproof. The only thing that can sort of change it is him winning, not even winning another Masters, but it's sort of like, like the opinion is so solid that all like it can only go down, or he needs to win a major to improve anyone's opinion of him.
The only other way that it could work is if he went into like one of these Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth tailspins and just like fell off the face of the earth, which he hasn't done in 15 years. Like
it's the same way how like when, a long time ago when the players were still relevant, like a Kuchar or a Snedeker, I'd often say like what they've done, like your opinion of them at this point will only change with a major. Like they can't win another event and you'd be like, oh, I really think Matt Kuchar's a quality golf. Like the only way your opinion can change of those guys at this point is a major. They're so like locked in to their position. Granted, at that time, the position being like really great players without a major, but winning another Heritage didn't change anyone's opinion of any of them.
Yeah, so it's a really interesting dichotomy between Rory and Rahm right now because anything Rory does poorly is held against him, but no matter what Rahm does on LIV, he comes second, he comes 30th, like whatever, like no one cares enough to actually dock him for it. They're just, John Rahm in our minds is just John Rahm. And that his performance at the majors over the past 4 years, I mean, that's why he's number 3. I think John Rahm could be the number 1 player in the world. It's not a case against Rahm. But it seems like no matter how poorly he plays or how well he plays on LIV, it's just kind of irrelevant at this point. It's just, what are you going to do in those 4 majors? Whereas Rory gets docked because he didn't win Honda.
100%. And Brooks is sort of like totally shielded from anything.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, of course. That's why he's number 5.
That's what all those, once you win those majors, you're allowed to be shielded. Like, he lives up to what he says almost every time. Outside of like a silly moment caught on film to, hype up a doc series, which is coming back, I think, maybe next week. But I didn't even finish the first one.
Yeah, neither did I. I watched like the first, I thought the Brooks one was the most compelling episode of the entire thing.
Yeah, I like the silly, like that Brooks stuff and like stuff like Morikawa in a clothing meeting. Like that's, people know what to tell me to watch and I watch it. All the other stuff, doesn't do it for me. But yeah, Brooks, expecting him. I'm expecting him to probably win the Masters.
Well, that's what happened this week in golf. Let's move on to what's going on to bet on this week in terms of the Arnold Palmer Invitational, the Puerto Rico Open, and LIV Singapore. Listen, we're probably just going to make losing bets like we do every single week, but if you want a guaranteed winner and you don't have Underdog, first-time depositors, deposit $100, they will just give you another $100. So then you'll have $200. That's a winning bet right there. It's probably like the best bet that I could ever give you on this show. So download the Underdog app right now. Use code Mayo at sign up. Deposit match up to $100. And then once you have an Underdog account, if you already have one, you can already do this. Hit the survey in the description right now and get into the draw of one of 5 prizes for $1,000 of Underdog credits. Just going to be a random draw. It's for our new partnership and the Players Championship. So please go support the show by doing that right now with code Mayo down at Underdog Fantasy. We know Bay Hill, it's an elevated event, 70 players. There is a cut, which, listen, just having the top 50 in ties cut, I feel like makes this way more legitimate than if there was no cut.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we got at Genesis, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it felt legitimate. No, I enjoyed it. It was still mattered to me. I liked any aspect of a cut, even though it was, a very finite number. Or very small number. I really enjoyed the fact that bodies were going home. It matters to me.
Yeah, I mean, for DFS purposes, the most owned guy, Justin Thomas, missed the cut at Genesis, so it made it a kind of crazy type of weekend for the DFS game. So I'm excited for this one. I love Bay Hill. It's a par 72 at 7,466 yards. I did a full course preview. I'll have the newsletter drop coming on Monday late afternoon, Monday evening. Once I get everything finished, the delay of the Monday finish and then us recording the show live is going to push that a little bit. That is free to subscribe to. Substack, Mayo Media newsletter. It's down in the description as well. You can just get it sent to you. That's where all the write-ups and the bet trackers are going to be, plus some special announcements that might be coming for some more free money coming your way. Top of the leaderboard is, or at least the betting board, Scotty Scheffler. He comes in at 6-1, as deep as 6.5 at some places. Rory is second. He is 8.5 to 9. Then you have this little mini tier of Xander, Victor, can't lay. They're all between 12 and 14. Then it's Ludwig, Morikawa, Spieth, Thomas, Burns, and Max Homa. They'll fluctuate anywhere from 18 to 25, depending on where you look. The first thing that you sent me this morning was a Ludwig 25, where to bet it, and I bet it along with you. He rates out number 1 in all of my key stats at fantasynational.com, fantasynational.com/Mayo. Get that 20% off and use those updated tools. And this is kind of, remember how much Tim complained that he was on TV at this tournament last year? He's like, I don't know who this guy is. Why would they ever show him on TV? I want to see Xander, who's 80 shots off the lead. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, this might be the next guy. Why wouldn't you show him to build a star? And again, that just kind of harkens back to the still advantage, despite it being watered down, that the PGA has over LIV at the moment, is they can create their stars. And Ludwig is on the precipice of becoming a star. He needs one of these big events, though. And this is something that we waited with for Victor for like 5 years, for him to win one of these big events. Do we think that, I mean, we're betting on him to do it at 25-1, but how good do you feel about Ludwig winning one of these elevated events at a historic place?
I feel pretty confident about it because he's still in this moment where he's feeling great, and he's feeling, I've seen him mention like every time he's getting real comfortable in the situation right now. So he's ready for it. I think being in that Ryder Cup room, like being alongside, teammates with Rahm and like, I just think it adds to everything, and how he's played since. The guy's just around. I don't know why I wasn't ready to pull like the quick trigger at the 18 or 20, despite thinking about it. I don't know why 5 points would make a bet.
Yeah,
when I saw that 20,
hold on. 5 points isn't 5. Like 5 points from 70 to 65 is not the same as 5 points from 20 to 25 as a percentage of what you need to wager.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I might have bet it, but I wasn't like I'm firing, and I saw that 25, and I just like, I gotta fire the guy. He is course proof. Let alone now we're gonna see him go to some courses where he's actually played before, because I see him go to places he's never seen. And I'm just in awe always still. So that was the only bet I've made under 30-1. You think it's elevated. It's about time, like the good players hit. Maybe I'll dig even lower, but I've made another bet, but this is the only bet under 30-1 for me thus far. I could be talked into another good player though, easily. So
how worried are you that Scheffler just dummies everyone here?
I'm always worried, but I'm less worried now than I feel like I was at the majors last year, like late in the season.
Okay. How about Rory coming off what I just mentioned, a week where it seemed like he played like crap and beat everyone tee to green by a pretty large margin?
I'm worried. I don't pick on Rory. He scares me more than Scotty. Is that weird?
No, because it should, because the way that Scotty plays, and just he has time after time after time, like, and is this where it kicked? No, it kicked off in Phoenix for him 2 years ago, and they ended up winning this. He should have won this event last year. He lost by a stroke or 2 strokes and just gagged strokes until he fixes his putter. Like, you feel like you can almost pencil in like 95% of the time Scheffler's just going to bleed strokes on the green, and it's going to cost him the tournament. With Rory, that's what he's been doing a lot of the times, especially this week at Honda. But you feel pretty confident that he's not a terrible putter, because, I mean, this was the tournament in 2018 where I think he gained 8 strokes putting on the final day alone and just cruised past everyone.
Yeah, in this moment in time, I would probably rather bet Rory than Scotty. Although, we're back in Florida, these surfaces, Phoenix is a pretty perfect surface, and he was missing them there too. But, Florida surfaces are pretty pristine. Maybe that's what he needs. But I don't know, Pekka's, I don't want to make this a thing, but don't we always sort of acknowledge that the cleaner, beautiful greens are usually just an advantage to the better putters normally? Like,
yeah, a lot of the times. But I mean, it's hard to say that there's a lean towards putting in either direction. Yeah, the good putters are going to putt better. The majority of the time, but it doesn't mean that Denny McCarthy's not going to lose 8 strokes putting. It doesn't mean that Scheffler's not going to gain 7. They're going to go into their buckets more often than not, but those things can flip far more often than... I guess the only kind of equivalent is like if Min Woo hits his irons well, because he's sort of like the Scotty Scheffler of irons, where if he could just hit them neutral, he would be fine most weeks. And when he does it and he doesn't win, you're like, how did that happen? But the ball striking is just out of this world for both Rory and Scheffler right now. That's why they get that this week. But I know I'm not going to go to them. The only one that really caught my attention in the mid-range was Xander. But I think I want to do more down the list because I lose betting on golf every single week. So that's where my mind goes, is to the guys that don't win versus the guys that have a better shot to win. When I look at my power rankings right now over the past 24 rounds, Ludwig number 1, Xander number 2, Hoagie number 3.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, Xander feels like people are just so done with him that you almost just want to wait, right? Just like if you don't see anyone bet him, his numbers, I feel like this season has gone up a bit each week, like from when we do our show to, 24 hours or what have you. Because people almost look through him in some respects. And his twin.
But that's not true because people bet Cantlay every week. Every single week. And here's the thing, just bet him as first round leader and then you might be fine.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. So Xander's top in your model 14. What's the biggest you've seen there?
The biggest I've seen on him is 14.
Yeah, that'll get big. That should get bigger. Unless like 1 or 2 people put him up for the win, then.
Is there a number where you would feel good? Like, would it have to be 20? Would 18 do it for you? And don't forget, this is Bay Hill. Check the weather. I've already checked the weather. I did that on the research show, but it's still very early. Thursday and Friday look fine. Saturday and Sunday look windy AF. Put it that way.
Victor just doesn't seem like he's there at all at the moment, eh?
He doesn't.
He hasn't played a ton.
And this always felt like a spot for him, didn't it?
Oh, I like foaming at the mouth, Pat, to bet the Victor like 30-1 openers in the past here at Bay Hill because it did. And I feel like both the last 2 years, there's a moment where you think he's going to win for sure. Like he's going to win. And then they end and it's like, are they going to win big events? Bah!
That's good. It's a good impression. So, for me, like the only one that I'm really like, Spieth has back-to-back top 4 finishes here.
Crazy. I would not have guessed that at all. I would have hoped for more than 20-1 on Jordan.
I can offer you a 22-1.
But so does that mean, based on Sky, who's like incredible, maybe one of the best golf bettors this season on the tours, does that mean based on his theory, does that mean this should be a good Sahith course?
I don't know. Sahith was like okay here last year. I just worry about the guys that get it. And Spieth is one of the ones that I would worry about, that he hits the ball so offline off the tee so often that I don't know how he can end up coming T4. And a lot of it was, guess what? Magic beans. A lot of chipping in, a lot of hot putting. But if the wind is going to pick up this weekend, that might be exactly what you're looking for. So for me, it's only going to be Ludwig below 30-1 as of right now, because the 2 that I have circled, which would be no surprise to anyone, but I mean, Zal at 32 right now. I think there's a 35 on him still. There is a 35.
Staring at it.
Yeah, so there's a 35 on Zal. So 35 for Zal, 35 for Fitzpatrick. I see a 55 on Wyndham Clark. That's probably the other 3 that I'll pair with Ludwig. That's where I'm leaning, at least. Like, Day kind of does it for me. But I liked what I saw from Fitzpatrick this week. Like, it was very clear. Get him out of the West Coast. Put him back in Florida. He plays a lot better. But just, I watched all of his Friday round, and he was crisp, man, with these long irons. And, like, the short game wasn't quite all there, but the driving was back. You can see it through all 4 rounds that the driving was there. The approach was only there 2 of the rounds. The putter was kind of flat the entire time. But he has such a good history at this course. And I bet on him last week, but that was against a weak field. That was a talent bet versus a weaker field. This time around, I saw kind of what I wanted to see as a lead up. He didn't crush his number. We're back at a very familiar location, and the conditions might be perfectly suited for what he is going to do this week.
I like both of those thoughts. I was closer to betting the 35 on Willie than I am to Fitz, but I've been on Fitz a bit. I bet him in Phoenix, and I might have even bet him early last week. So
you know what's
I like it all.
You know what's hilarious? I just said, would you ever bet Shane Lowry unless he was 80-1? He's 80-1 now.
Doesn't seem that bad.
No, it doesn't.
I know we skipped through him. Any of these other, I mean, Burns off his start is sort of getting priced with the good players again.
No,
I'm not there. I'm just talking through. I need.
No,
Max,
if I wanted to talk about those guys, I'd talk about them. Do you want to talk about them? Are you betting them? We don't need to talk about every single player every single week.
You're right. We're not betting them. That's enough.
If you want to bet Burns, wait till no one bets him at 22-1, and then he's 30-1 on or 35-1 on Wednesday.
Well said. It's Fleetwood, it's Florida. But
great.
I did something today, Pat. I did something, and I can't help myself. But it wasn't Tommy Fleetwood
at this tournament.
Yeah, this week, this morning, I bet Ludwig, and I bet another guy,
Cam Young,
whose number is now in the range we're talking about. But it wasn't when I bet it. I bet him last week too at 24.
Yo, you bet Cam Young again? He's Tim's one and done.
I bet Cam Young 365 dropped to 45-1. I couldn't help myself. Now, just let's wind it up. This is stupid. I'm not very good at this. And sometimes I put myself in situations, and how do I put this? When I said the Finau thing earlier, in the gambling Finau comp, back in the day, wasn't it like, no, we never go to Finau in these shitty events, which he learned to dominate. It was when he has it, like you just bet him in the full fields, and when he has it, he's gonna have it, and he really likes Florida, and I'm dumb enough to think Cam has it. So I pulled the trigger on 45. I think it's in the mid 30s now, most places. So I've bet Cam, I've bet Ludwig. I'm an idiot.
Cam's number got crushed a little bit. 37 is the best number I see on him right now. But he also went birdie and as a part of the restart and got himself up to T4 at Cognizant to end it. So that probably didn't help his number at all. I don't know. I just see players. That's what I'm kind of looking at here. I just see players who are better than him who are at deeper odds. Like the Wyndham Clark, like I said, I might have to bet Wyndham Clark out of spite for him being 55-1. Like I like Harris English this week. He's also 55-1. Eric Cole is 55-1. JT Poston is 50-1. Like this doesn't make
Hideki?
Hideki's one thing. Hideki just won. That actually does make sense. But I don't understand how Wyndham Clark is behind these guys.
So I thought we were talking about Cam Young. I was making fun of my Cam Young line.
No, but okay, why is Cam Young 20 points shorter than Wyndham Clark?
I don't have a clue. I don't.
I don't.
Because if idiot suckers like me, I'm a sucker. You're a sucker, Howard. You're a sucker. That was a.
So I'll probably end up having to do that just because I think that the number is either that number is wrong or the rest of the numbers are wrong. But it's probably that the other numbers are wrong in terms of sheer probability, but that's just what the market dictates right now, that Wyndham Clark probably should be 35-1 based on the amount that he's been winning and his skill set for this course. So I'll probably end up on him. And the other two, I like Corey Connors this week at 80-1. He's always played this course really well. It's back-to-back weeks at Riv and at Honda. Obviously, he didn't putt. He never putts. But the ball striking has kind of come back. Last week was actually his worst driving week in a while, and that's something I never really worry about him about. But as long irons are clicking, he's going to hit a ton of fairways. He's played well at this course historically, and he's actually putted okay at this course historically. So Corey Connors at 80-1. You might even see a better number being floated around here, a little bit down the road.
You think we'll see better?
Maybe not.
Okay, so he was 6 under on Sunday, so that's nice. Although, it's an easy course now, it seems. Jokes, or I don't know if that's a joke. But it is Corey Connors season, people. Okay? I'm a Corey Connors guy. We are officially in Corey Connors season. Bay Hill, Sawgrass, Valero. This is the time. I was going to say the Masters. That's not actually. More about the others. So, yeah, Corey Connors season, and if he blows up this week, I'll fucking go back next at 100 or something at Sawgrass. I mean it.
Okay.
I don't believe in much of the like 60 to 100 crowd, but I've probably said that on so many shows. Not this year, and it's been so stupid. If these good players don't rise up this week, I guess props to those hitting the bombs.
I thought Ryan Fox was in this field. Did he get bumped from the field? Because I wanted to bet Ryan Fox. He's not here.
Speaking of the field, though, there's a little bit of controversy, Pat.
Oh, is there? Tell me.
All these exemptions. Do you know who keeps getting these exemptions?
Adam Scott.
Adam Scott, Webb Simpson, Peter. I don't know about this week, but Malnati's been getting a lot. Players on the player advisory councils. A lot of other players, thinking that there's real fishy business going on here. I'm an Adam Scott truther. Not to say I'm going to bet him this week, but a lot of I guess people not taking notice that this exemption thing has turned into a bit of a get Adam Scott into our tournament scams.
Okay. I mean, I would probably pick him. Who else are you going to pick? Like, I wouldn't pick Malnati, but I would pick Adam Scott of like the remaining guys. Minwoo has not been priced yet, but he's going to be in this field. EVR is going to be in this field as well. Do you have any interest in those guys, or is that all price dependent?
Mitchell, price dependent.
I don't think Mitchell got in. I think he got bumped.
Oh, he got kicked out?
I think so.
Skins got hot late?
Yeah, I don't. Did Skins bird? I think if Skins had birdied 18, he got in. I don't know how that's possible, but I had heard that on the broadcast. Did he birdie 18?
I don't remember. It
looks like he did. He came T4. No, he didn't. He didn't birdie 18. He birdied 17, didn't birdie 18. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to bet on these guys anyway. But Hoagie was somewhat like Hoagie's numbers just keep rating out really well.
There was someone else you asked though, who they haven't put in up yet.
Oh, Ryan Fox, but I don't think that he's in. So it would be Hoagie as the bomb right now. I mean, would you go back to Kitayama again? He played well in Phoenix.
Who did he beat here again last year?
He beat everyone. He beat Rory and Scheffler and Victor. He triple bogeyed number 9.
Oh my God. What a win. I could be wrong. I think we were so many favorites. It was like it was getting nauseating. And then Kitayama was the start of just a long shot, a summer long shot bonanza that's continued. Well, I clearly haven't adapted to.
Maybe that will revert now. If this is where it started, maybe it goes back the other way and Rory beats everyone by 6 or something like that. But looking at it right now, like some of the other guys in that range, like, do you have interest in Jake Knapp at all? To keep the good times rolling?
I'm not betting him to win.
Okay.
I'm not betting him to win, but I'm not picking on him like I did last week. I learned a lesson.
How about Luke List, who has lost, I believe, a combined 14 strokes putting in 4 rounds over the past 2 years at this course? But now he can putt.
Okay. See, this is where I don't adapt to what's actually happening. I talk up Luke List like, oh, maybe he's real now. You know who might even be more real or actually real? Mathieu Pavon.
That's true.
It's like a real golfer.
80-1.
The Lowry thing is kind of enticing in a way.
Yeah, because no one's going to bet him now because he just gagged it.
But it's a balloon number. We're still in Florida. He did hit a lot of lovely golf shots. Can he actually hit putts? I'm sure the people that bet on him this week think he can't.
It's true. How has he played at Bay Hill over the years? Lowry has played this event 5 times. His best finish is T67.
And Pat, do you know how many times off these close calls at Honda we probably rolled that over? Or people, I can't remember it, but myself or others probably rolled it over into Bay Hill bets.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. Aberg, Oberg, Zalatoris, Fitz, Clark, and Connors. Those 5 have stuck out to me. I've only bet Oberg so far at 25-1 because I do want to get a better sense of the weather. Knapp and Pavon list, like one of those other like long shot type guys is probably going to be it for me unless someone starts like falling down the board. Like if Xander crumbles to 20 or something like that, which it's not going to happen. So I don't even know why I'm saying it out loud, but that would be the circumstance where I jump back in near the top, I think.
I'm attracted to Pavon.
Okay.
Of that collection of players. Corey Connors, I'm probably already fully sold on.
Okay, good. Yeah, fun with Corey Connors. So those are the API bets. You want to talk Puerto Rico for a minute?
Okay. Of the 3 tournaments this week, this is the one I've probably given the least amount of time to, but I've got ideas, I'm sure.
Well, that's good because I've given the least amount of time to Singapore. I've actually put in some work so far on what's going on for Puerto Rico. So Rasmus Højgaard is the favorite. Aaron Rai is second. Daniel Berger is third. And it just seems weird that Daniel Berger is not the favorite in this field.
So that was one of my takeaways. Like, as someone that bet Berger last week, should I just go back to the 25? Like, that doesn't seem unfair. If I believed he could win on the PGA a week ago at that number with a field that had Rory in it, maybe I should just go back to him in this field. Because he's playing to win. Like, I guess, is he playing for reps or is he playing for keeps?
I don't know.
2 different things.
He's played this tournament once in his career. It was in 2019. He came in second.
Second, you said?
Yeah. So Uncle Rico, we're going in on Uncle Rico at 110-1. Rico, whee, and watch him like miss 2-foot putt. Actually, we don't even have to watch it. I don't even know if it's on TV, but he's going to miss 2-foot putts all week, but he's going to hit it to 2 feet like every single time, which is very exciting. So he's going to be like the long shot that I'm going with here. I'll probably end up going with Martin Trainer if he's in the field because I always bet him at these past Palom courses. He'll be like 300-1 or something stupid like that. Let's see. It's Martin Trainer. Oh, Martin Trainer's 80-1. Are you kidding me? I'm going to bet Chan Kim at 45 because I bet him last week and he just won me $6,000. So shout out to you. I was just thinking about...
Shout out to that putt he made Saturday morning.
There was a reason that I was sweating that because I saw that if Chan Kim makes that putt, I'm one of 4 entries in that tournament that goes 6-6 and he makes the putt. So that really, it's funny how the cut line really does matter to some people out there and would love to see it. Anyway, there's him.
You got to acknowledge Aaron Wise.
Yeah, Aaron Wise is returning. I'm not going to bet Aaron Wise coming off a year hiatus.
What was the event like 2 weeks ago? Everyone loved everyone bet Sam Stevens or something. His number went from like 100 to 50-1. Something crazy.
They all bet him in Mexico. This is a good course for Sam Stevens.
Yeah, so that kind of caught my eye. And I would say maybe just names in and around the 50s, like Vic Perez
and Bobby
Mack. Just, I don't know, name out, like just the name. I'm betting your name. And you're not playing horribly. S.H. Kim.
I would be more prone to go with like Higo. Higo's like 2 good weeks in a row now.
That's another one. Also at 50-1. He's part of this group. So that's kind of where my eyes traveled. Looking at this.
There is one more.
Nacho's also been playing well a couple weeks in a row.
Nacho's in this field?
Nico.
Oh,
Echeverria?
Neko, the defending champ. Yeah, he just chipped and putted his way to a top 20 finish at Honda, but he had like nothing else in the... Hey, listen, he's fine. He obviously won here last year. He can win this. But Goddard, approach-wise at Honda, was fire. Do you know who was walking around with Eckroat's wife following them around the Monday finish? It was Chris Goddard, stuck around to watch his boy Eckroat win. You know how that fuels guys from time to time? They're good pals.
I love that shit. I love it. He probably waxed Eckroat in a practice round on Tuesday. So he's like, what the fuck? I don't mind that. I know I'm not sure where the form is, but there was a time in this last 12 months where Camilla was fire and he's like 90, 100-1.
Yeah, it feels like that's flipped backwards right now. What I did this on the
Probably.
research show, but I included it in the First Look newsletter that I put out yesterday. So if you just click on the newsletter right now, you can go see the modeling that I put out. But it just took the strokes gain total from this event, from Corrales, from Cabo and Vedanta, and just put them all into one over the past 24 rounds to see who was actually good at these particular courses. So if you do want to check that out, I would recommend you go do it. You can just do it yourself on Fantasy National as well. But I did that on the show. But just to give you some insight of who popped up on a per round basis, Berger and Wise, Højgaard and McIntyre are the tops. They've only played 4 rounds on these courses. So guys with substantial rounds, 8 or more: Brandon Wu, Chan Kim, Sam Stevens, Nate Lashley, Cam Champ. Those are your top 5.
Yeah.
This does feel like Cam Champ's been like kind of close recently, like in terms of getting his game back together, and like he just wins randomly. So why not him?
I've never been there, so that's not for me.
Is Jake Knapp Cam Champ?
I said that last week when we were like, who could he be? But no, I don't think so. Cam Champ, I guess the guy's so old, so there's a level of maturity. So I can't be like, Cam Champ would have not done what Jake Knapp did playing with Rory for 3 days, the Honda. Had like young Cam Champ just won the Mexico, but they're like a different part, like they're in totally different just places. I don't know. That was my guess. But to me, he flipped my opinion. Like doing what he did, playing 3 rounds with Rory impresses me off the win. Like I give that a multiplier of fuck. This guy might be something. But as Paul said, like maybe it's just the moment. Could be. I like him.
I just popped into the live chat for a second, and 2 comments, just the first 2 that are in there just kind of stuck my mind. So one is from Lucky Schwartz. He says, not a question about the betting board, but he's getting into golf betting in general. What type of return on investment are you looking for making bets on the overall card? 7x, 8x? I try to shoot for anywhere between like 5.5 to 8, depending on the week and how many bets that I make. That's generally my goal. I want to be closer to that 8, but sometimes I can't help myself, which is something that you're really going to have to fight if you're trying to do. Listen, if you want to bet profitably, do not bet on outrights. Listen to the best bet show that we do on Tuesday. We had besides Bez, everything kind of crushed again. Like betting top 20s and top 30s. Like that's the actual profitable way to bet on golf.
Yeah, those are the bets you can be held accountable for losing.
Fair, I guess so. You can be held
No,
accountable.
I mean, you pick the guy at like 60 to 1, like the one to win the golf tournament. No one is. I don't know, you know what I mean. I've joked with you many times. It's like picking outright golf, and that's sort of like it's sort of like you don't have to be, you just can't be freaking horrible at it. Hopefully I'm not.
Yeah. Let's see. And learned hand. This is actually really interesting. Scrawny guys don't win at Bay Hill. You play Fitz, Minwoo, Will Z, all you want in daily fantasy. Don't bet on them to win. Guys like Quadzilla, Kitayama, Popeye, Hatton. Much better in these conditions. Yeah, Scheffler ended up a winner. Leishman, Day. Maybe this guy's onto something here.
Oh my God.
We got to bet fat dudes.
You're right. These are power thighs.
Wyndham Clark, Corey Connors. There you go.
Oh my God.
Shane Lowry, but not really.
Ludwig's a tank, though.
Yeah, Ludwig's
He's a flusher. He's a
yeah, but Ludwig's more in the Jake Knapp style of. I think he's just kind of jacked.
Yeah, but I don't know what his. I don't know what Ludwig. I don't know if Ludwig's a Jim Craver. Maybe he is. You must be. Kids those days, yeah.
Or he's got great genetics. One of the two.
Well, he must have great genetics because you look at the eyes and I see Tom Brady.
Yeah, but Tom Brady didn't get good genetics. So I think it was Steph Smalls who put it out. That just like something about like Tom Brady doesn't have like it's not that you're ugly. It's just that you're poor. And it was just Tom Brady at 20 and Tom Brady at 45.
Oh my God. Oh, I'm gonna go find that because that tweet deserves all the likes it can get because that's on the nose. That's on the nose.
So that's Puerto Rico. Tell me about LIV Singapore.
LIV Singapore. I bet Bryson 14 to 1. I bet it pretty much as soon as odds were out. I want to say like yesterday afternoon. on some sites, Pat, but I find out it's a pretty short course and it's going to be kind of favorable to a handful of guys. It's like 6,600 yards. So guys can go and overpower the shit out of it. But I think it just by its nature, it is going to be a bit of an equalizer to people who don't hit what like Rahm, Neiman, Bryson can do off the tee sort of in that live scope.
So what are we thinking? Like, if it's not going to be Bryson, where would you go, do you think?
Okay. Bear sent me a fun
go ahead.
Little tip this morning about five of the last 7 winners here were Aussies. So he was on a hunt for like Herbert and Matt Jones bombs.
Herbert was okay in Oman like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so maybe he's on to something with that one. Not really sure. Herbert, you're Asians. We don't have any of the Asian players, though.
Let's see. Live Jeddah, man, it's so hard to find live leaderboard stuff.
I can try to find.
Let's see. Gooch won last year over Sergio in a playoff. Brooks was third. Scott, Vincent, Mito. I bet Mito last week was terrible, but maybe I can just go back to that. Cam Smith. Yeah. So, Gooch won last year. I don't think he's from Australia. Do you just keep betting Neiman?
He's a horse. Oh, they put him up in like is he in the ROM zone? Yeah, I thought I might have woken up to him in the ROM zone.
He is. He's 6-1, isn't he?
Yeah. Where did they put this live board? Lost my live board.
It's hard to find. Yeah.
Okay, so I had no idea, speaking of Neiman, you mentioned it. I had no idea Vincenzi interviewed Neiman last night. Good for Matt.
Oh, did he interview Neiman, or did he just get the tip from Neiman? I didn't see it.
No. He interviewed Neiman.
Oh, that's awesome. Matt's crushing. Live
well,
inside.
Good. Listen, like I'll tell you, there's a beat that Matt is 100% genuine. Like he doesn't fluff it. If he didn't care for live or if he bought into a lot of the narratives, he would be like, fuck this thing. But he sort of had a very open mind about it. And with that, I think has allowed granted opportunities because he's had a few interviews with live players and he's cultivated like a safe space for them and clearly has some level of connection through the agent or the tour. So good on him. That's freaking awesome. Interviewing Neiman. I don't care where he won.
So Herbert is 65. I'll make that bet. Herbert, I don't know why, although an Aussie didn't win here. Maybe when it was a European DP or Asian tour course, maybe there was more winning here for the Aussies. Herbert, 65. Mito's 50. Cam Smith's 20-1, by the way. He has shorter odds. I think he has shorter odds to win the Masters than he does live. Oh, it's live Hong Kong. It's not live Singapore, by the way.
I should have corrected you.
Why did everyone tell me Singapore? Jesus Christ.
No, it's Hong Kong, and then they're back. They're off for a couple weeks, and then it's Doral.
Did they even play this last year, Hong Kong?
I don't know.
You said you did the live research.
I looked at the odds, like I paid attention to the odds board. I looked at the course.
Okay.
I'm not really a course history buff, so that stuff, I was just excited. I wanted Bryson action. Bryson crushed it last week. It's a 3-round schmagegi, but he had won like 76 or something. And everything else was like low 60s.
Okay.
So he had a 74. And then like 63, 62.
Okay. So I'll go Herbert. I'm going to bet Cam Smith at 20. Screw it. Maybe he's in form now in the fourth live event.
Maybe he was tearing up. We're in so I guess they're going to come back to this part of the world again, right? Because they do live Adelaide, which is the party.
I wouldn't say that like Hong Kong and Adelaide are super close, Jeff. That'd be like they're coming to our part of the world. They're going to play an event in Halifax and the next event's in Hawaii.
That's pretty far.
Now I want to see if this Masters thing is actually true when I said it. Let's see.
So what countries qualify? Hold on a second.
The world's a big place,
make-
Jeff. Cam Smith,
Yeah, I know.
Cam Smith is 18 to 1 to win the Masters. He is 20 to 1 to win LIV Hong Kong.
That's pretty jokes. Maybe he is ready for Hong Kong. Maybe that's a blind play.
Then I'm doing it. Cam Smith, 20 to 1. There's my bet.
I was looking something up and I ended up getting anime. And that wasn't what I was looking up.
Did you look
I
up
almost
Liv?
don't want to embarrass myself
What
to
did you,
say
what,
what I
what,
was.
what did you Google? Like Liv Hentai? And now you're like trying to scan through it?
No. Because it's a movie. I enjoyed that movie. Pacific Rim.
Oh, okay. All right. So we don't need Jeff's geography lesson here. Let's get to the
No, no one needs that.
Let's get to the quick picks. So for me, Aberg, I'm in on. At API, I'm going to be in on Connors and Clark as well. I'll see what I want to do with Zalatoris and Fitz. That's where I'm leaning right now, but I haven't made those wagers as of yet. I'll have the full update on the Wednesday show and in the Wednesday newsletter when I finalize everything. I'm going to go with Chan Kim at 45, Rico He for Puerto Rico. Those are the two that I have in already at 45 and 110 to 1. Given some look to Brandon Wu, Cam Champ, Chris Goddard, Bobby Mack at 50 would be the ones I'm looking at there. And I'll bet Cam Smith at 20, and I might go Lucas Ibel at 65 on the LIV Tour.
Well done. What was the number you mentioned with Goddard?
It's 25 right now. I haven't bet it yet, but if I can... yeah.
Okay, for PGA, I have bet Ludwig at 25, and I've bet Cam Young at 45, and I like those a shout in the 30s. Eileen Willie over Fitz. Maybe Buddy brought up a good point. Fade them both. They've got skinny legs, not ideal. My flusher from the back is Corey Connors. That's my flusher from the back. And Puerto Rico, I've got no bets in, but I'll be a basic bitch and probably just bet the names. Like the guys at 50 that have some level of credential. Maybe I can get swung onto Chan Kim, but that's like that. Pat named them. Higo, Bobby Mack, Vic Perez, SH Kim, which sounds weird because he's not a name, but I don't know. So that's that. And then I've bet Bryson 14 to 1 in Hong Kong.
One and done picks for the Arnold Palmer Invitational. You won last week. You had Keith Mitchell last week, so that's a nice win for you. You got $210,000. You've pulled just behind me for the overall lead. Both Straka and Berger missed the cut for Tim and I. Got my first miscut of the year, so that's no fun. Cust is on the board. He is taking Cameron Young as his one and done pick this week. Now you're up.
I did not know that when I made the bet, but I'm not willing to cash out of it anyway. So say what that says about me. Oh, can we just do 2 more minutes after we do one and done?
Just make the pick first.
Okay.
You want me to pick?
Yeah, you go. I don't
Rory,
care. You can.
your pick.
Oh. Yeah, see, I always I'm like, oh, great idea, Patrick. I want to burn him, but I don't want to waste my whole season because I'll want him every week. I don't know. It's shit. That's Florida. Give me Tommy. I don't know. That's not going to go well.
I'm going to see if you've used Tommy already.
No.
You see, you say that, but you try to use him every week. So.
Tommy, I'm unequivocally confident because burning Tommy is something that I'll regret for months. I would know that.
Why would you regret burning him? He's never won.
I don't know. Look at all my players, Pat. I don't use any good players.
You've used Tommy.
Shut up. Where?
No, you didn't. So you can use Tommy Fleetwood.
Yeah, I'm using Tommy.
All right. You want an extra 2 minutes? What is it?
Okay. So last week, and I even said I might do this when we were doing the show, I said this is very much in play for me. I bet Ben N last week at 45 to 1 on the Monday morning. I joked that this could potentially be day traded because I'm betting a number. I don't believe in the player. My friend of mine, who I do bet golf for sometimes, will throw him out players, see where I could get numbers, wanted to bet Ben N. He's a I bet golfers, not numbers sort of guy. So he doesn't care like what it was when we're recording a podcast on a Monday. The best he could get was 28. You know what? I'll give you, if I didn't say it's from me, well, in the end it came and he didn't even care, but I can get you 33. I sold him the bet like at what, and then I was taking essentially a free 12 points for peace of mind if Ben Ann won. There are a couple of people on the internet that were like, that's horrible. How do you do that? And I'm like, this isn't twiddlywinks. This is goddamn fucking gambling. These bets are like stocks. You want to sell me your Shohei rookie for what you paid 4 years ago? Hey, Paul, we're buddies. We're buddies. Can I have Bitcoin at your entry price? Everyone wins. I get a little peace of mind. I need peace of mind to make a deal like that. He gets 5 points better than like I get a thing. He gets a thing. Done. Is that bad? Is that bad form, Pat? You tell me. I trust you.
I mean, I don't care either way. I can't believe you wanted 2 minutes on that.
Okay, sorry. So it's the end. Bye. I wasted your time. Your time is valuable. That's a waste. I owe you 2 minutes. You'll never get back.
2 minutes. Yeah, 2 minutes of my life. I'm going to charge you for that, but not at the prices that I got ages ago. I'm going to charge you like day rate right now for Pat Mayo 2 minutes. That will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Join fantasynational.com/Mayo to get yourself 20% off. Code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy. First time match deposit up to $100. Deposit $100, get a free $100 to go along with it. Sounds pretty easy, right? Because it is. Code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy. Additionally, if you take the survey in the description right now, it takes around 22 seconds to complete. If you have an Underdog handle, you put that in there, fill out the rest of the survey. There's 2 other questions, and you do that. You are in the draw to win one of 5 $1,000 giveaways we'll do for the Players' Championship. So please go support the show. Support me, Code Mayo, at Underdog Fantasy. Thank you all for watching. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.